Hi Leo, welcome to your reading. This is going to be for the next 10 days. It is for Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. If this one doesn't resonate, definitely check out those other placements. It is a general reading, so it may not resonate for everyone who watches. So we're going to get into your recent past, your current energy, and the near future. We'll clarify that and then get a few more cards from the universe for you. If you are returning, welcome back. Thank you guys for all of your support. If you are new, welcome. I do hope if you enjoy the messages, you'll consider subscribing, hitting that notification bell, and the like button, if I can get that out. And if you would like a personal reading, the information's in the description box below or the About section of my channel. All right, so let's get going and see where your energy is for the next 10 days. And don't worry about what date you click into it. Just know when the time hits and you see this video, that's the right time for you. Okay, so your overall energy, we have the Hangman in reverse, which is good because there could have been a period of time, there was clearly a period of time where you needed to understand things clearly. So if you felt like you'd been kind of hanging in there and not sure and didn't have some answers, you got some of the answers that you needed. So we'll clarify that in just a moment. Let's get into your recent past. So we have the Nine of Cups. So this has got a lot to do with whether something was fulfilling you or not. High Priestess is in reverse. And then we have the Sun in reverse, and there you are. So the Sun is your card. Something was definitely not making you happy, and maybe a part of you was not listening to your intuition. It's a developed tool, and not all of us do it at all times. So if you were, for some reason, ignoring those little twinges, you could be going through a period of whether you've already gotten in touch with your intuition, or maybe this was one of those times when you were being taught as someone just getting into understanding your intuition and why it was showing you what it was. It's because if something isn't fulfilling or making you happy and you're still allowing something to continue, then you need to take it up a notch, as hard as it is, because there's always going to be some aspect of connection in anything that we do that causes us to sometimes ignore that intuition. And if you were doing so, it isn't about beating yourself up about having not paid attention to it, because you wouldn't have learned a valuable lesson within that situation. It's just about them wanting to shift you back into a place of understanding yourself better, what fulfills you and what makes you happy right now after whatever was happening that was creating this feeling of a lack of fulfillment. So let's look at your current energy. We have the Seven of Wands in reverse with the Fool. Okay. So one of the hardest things to do after you've been burned, if you will, and I say been burned, could be a relationship, could be work, could be anything. It's a little bit hard to take a chance again, but there's a certain level of vulnerability. Maybe a part of you was feeling a little bit defensive, but for the most part, I think you're at a stage now in the current energy, at least this is what Spirit's trying to tell you, that you're ready again to take a leap into whatever area of your life that you had been unfulfilled. Not everything comes to an end always, but some things do. And understanding that what's going to happen when something is about to change is usually a matter of discomfort. Because if we're happy with something or we're comfortable somewhere, we aren't going to make a change. So what happens? The universe brings in something that's uncomfortable or we're no longer satisfied with it so that they can take us to the next level, if you will, to the next step or the new path that's opening up for us. So in this case, I feel like what's happening is you may feel a little bit vulnerable and maybe have a little bit of fear of taking this new step in your life, but they're saying you have the tools. So 10 of Cups. Okay, so you go from being unfulfilled, not happy, to taking a chance and being extremely happy. So whatever drew you to this video, if you're needing confirmation that this is the time, this is the time. Take the action that you need. You've just got to take that leap of faith, and the result they're telling you is going to make you extremely happy. So there's going to be a lot of either celebration around it. It could be just that in general, it's very fulfilling to you because you go from the Nine of Cups, which can be fulfillment, yes. But when it's in reverse, it's saying, obviously, there was a lack of fulfillment, and then you're going to the next step. So you may have been fulfilled to that point, but now they want to take you to something that's going to fulfill you even more than just the Nine of Cups. It's taking you to the big one, the 10. All right, so in the near future, we have the Queen of Swords, and then we have the Five of Cups. You've got to get very clear about this lesson that you've learned. And I want to say it's not sitting in your pain, which is not easy. I would never tell somebody, don't feel your feelings. This came up, I was walking today, funny enough, and it actually came to me in that moment where people are always saying, well, just meditate or just breathe or do whatever it is to get you out of that thought process. Thoughts are things. Everybody wants to talk about thoughts or things. Of course they are. If you think something, you're going to have a reaction in your body, but you have to feel through things. So getting really clear about ways that work for you to get you out of a place of loss or even feeling like you missed out on something that created sadness, because you don't want to allow that to get into this here, meaning get in the way of what they're trying to open up for you, which is something that's actually going to make you happy. So learning how to get through the emotions of something that was disappointing and looking in a new direction, it's getting really clear about how you do that. And for some of you with the Queen of Swords, this is cutting out certain situations in your life, which we all go through too. So you may need to do that and be really honest with yourself about what does and doesn't work and the people that do and don't work. The Five of Cups with the King of Wands. So that to me is somebody that's not connected, meaning that they don't have the ability to connect on an intimate level. Somebody's definitely shut down in your life or someone you experienced that it created a lot of sadness. So if they didn't have the ability to connect, you've got to be honest with yourself about how it didn't make you happy either. There were probably some aspects of the situation that, again, you didn't pay attention to your intuition, and maybe part of you already knew that it wasn't going to make you happy, but we follow through when there are good things in relationships, and the same thing with a job. It's how high of a threshold do you have for the things that don't feel good? And in this case, I just feel like you realize that if you're losing your passion in something and somebody's not connecting to you in the way that you need them to, you can have, feelings of regret or think things through, but you want to allow yourself to keep going and take chances into new things. Hopefully don't allow yourself to be held back because there was a disappointment. Now, the challenge over these next 10 days, we have the King of Pentacles in reverse. For some of you, this could be you have challenges around your money and maybe you're not feeling like you're on top of things. Doesn't mean it's going to last. It just means that this is a feeling. So if you're not feeling very secure right now, it just means it's something that you need to focus on and figure out a way to balance that back out. Let's see when we clarify as well. All right, so with the Hangman in reverse, there was definitely something that you needed to either think through or get some enlightenment around. And now you're coming out of that energy. So we have the Seven of Pentacles. Now, this can be, is it worth hanging around for? Is it worth investing in? And you'll be shown if something is worth your time and your energy. And I think you finally figured that out. Some things are worth continuing to invest in and being patient while you watch them grow, whatever that may be. And in other cases, you have to ask yourself, is this it? Is this as far as this tree can grow? Is this as many pentacles as I can make in this particular job? Is there something better out there for me that's going to either create more abundance that will help with this challenge around your money? Or is there a better relationship that's going to be more fulfilling? Let's see, after that, we have the Eight of Wands. Well, as soon as you realize that, that's when things start opening up. So you're coming out of this space of not being sure, getting some enlightenment, and then all of a sudden communication opens up. Doesn't mean necessarily with somebody from the past. It just means things start moving. The energy starts picking up. So I think you guys are actually, astrologically speaking, not an astrologer, never claimed to be one, but I do listen to people who, because it's important, I think, for us to pay attention to everything going on in any modality. And in this case, I think you guys are in a position now where things are going to start opening up, where you may have felt stagnant. So it's aligned with the reading. And then after that, we have the King of Swords. So this could be a pair of two people that end up meeting that have clarity about who they are. So if you're in a position where you're wanting to possibly move on from something from the past and you're not currently in a relationship, you could end up meeting somebody who has the same type of integrity that you have, is more like you. So just be open to that if you're single, because it does seem as though two people want to communicate or end up communicating during this time frame. It could be this 10 days, or this is what's coming to you in the near future. Now with the Nine of Cups in reverse with the High Priestess, we have the Six of Wands. So whatever chance you take, because this is right next to the Fool for me, it is about your success. And I think you realize that if you put your energy into something, sometimes even being discontent and unhappy can be the driving force. So that's what gets the fire under your butt to keep moving. And they're trying to explain to you that even though things were feeling this way, you're still moving towards success. So don't lose hope, because no doubt the floodgates, it feels like, are opening for you. So the Devil is in reverse. Just means to me that you're going to have success putting something that just wasn't meant for you any longer behind you. And you're not bound to any situation in your life ever. So if there's ever been this idea that you have to stay in something because it was some old conditioned belief system that you had about either I have to stay in a job for a long time because nobody else will hire me, or I have to stay in this relationship because people are supposed to stay married. Whatever that belief system is, I think you realize that you can have a successful life and it's about you. And if something is toxic, you're not meant to stay in it. You are not meant to stay bound to something because of an old belief. Now, the Seven of Wands in reverse with the Fool, we have the Two of Cups in reverse. So this to me says there was a situation where two people just couldn't come together. And if you take a chance and you become vulnerable again and you allow yourself to open back up, you will have the opportunity to meet somebody else that's going to be even better for you. And for some of you, this next person that you meet is going to be the person that you settle down with and marry if that's what you choose to do. And for those of you within the age that you want a family in the future, this had to happen in order for you to release who wasn't meant for you so that you could open up to who is meant for you. The Fool with the Ten of Cups, we have the Queen of Cups in reverse. There's also a significant amount of understanding around needing nurturing within a relationship. So for some of you, this is about you've got to love yourself more than you love another person, or you love a situation that is not good for you. And that could be part of what you were learning, is that I really truly have to love me more, because other things in my life will be reflective of how I feel about myself. So there is a little focus on needing to go back to remembering what it's like to put yourself first. The Queen of Swords with the Five of Cups. We have the King of Wands in the upright. For some of you, you were dealing with a narcissistic person. He is my narcissist in this particular deck. It could be somebody that was a little full of themselves, but they're always there to teach us a lesson. That can be really triggering for people. So anytime this comes out, when I talk about it, I want to warn people, because we all have different perceptions of the pain that comes from a difficult relationship. But I think you realize now, because it obviously created a lot of pain here. This person could have been very manipulative and very difficult and very detached. And that was probably very painful for you. But I think you have a better understanding of that type of personality. So I wouldn't be afraid to put yourself back out there again if you're single, out of fear that you're going to make the same mistakes. You're not, because your intuition increases each time you have one of those experiences, and you can recognize what that feels like before it even happens. You'll know. You'll start to pick up on people's energy and decide quicker whether you want to invest in something or not. All right, so yes, that's confirmation that you were definitely dealing with somebody. If you had questions about whether they were narcissistic, or you didn't understand what that term meant, and you're starting to look into that, it will open your eyes. And then it'll lead you into a whole another gamut of understanding spirituality and why things happen the way that they do. All right, so with the Five of Cups and the King of Wands in reverse, then we have the Queen of Wands in the upright. So this is interesting, because could we say that this is a pair? Absolutely. But what I do want to say, this is telling me it's not about it being a pair. This is about you understanding your worth and your value and standing up to somebody who didn't recognize that. So even though you're sad, there's a part of you that's already known, has already been very clear about what you bring. in any situation. So you know your worth, you know your value, and at times people can chip away at that, but I don't think this brought you down to that point. I think there's some of you that needs to recognize, yes, you have to love yourself first, and that also helps bring back that confidence, but your confidence is going to increase again once you recognize what you went through and, yes, work through and release some of the sadness that's connected to what happened, because clearly something created sadness in the past, and we're still working through that some, but I see you regaining all of that confidence again. Now, let's look at this challenge around finances with the King of Pentacles in reverse. We have the Ten of Swords in reverse. So when it's in reverse, there's this fear that something's going to repeat itself. And I want to tell you, I don't think it is. Whatever lessons you had to learn, I think you've learned them. No doubt we all have lessons around finances as well in this life. Whatever was, I just heard crippling, whatever was causing some kind of a problem in that area, I feel like it's done. So don't worry about it. It feels like it's over. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and what am I going to do next? Let's get some advice. That's what I want to do. Oops. Wrong card on that deck. Let's see if there's any more messages or advice for you. This is for Leo. Okay, so the Three of Wands in reverse is... This is one of the hardest things to tell anyone. We all worry about the future, but the Three of Wands is someone who seems to be constantly waiting for things to come in. And instead of focusing on what's coming in or isn't there, I think Spirit's trying to say, try to focus on what you have right now and work within this very moment. It's hard to have present moment awareness, but do your best to not focus so much on things that you're waiting to come in. Live your life now. Every moment of every day is so important. And if you focus within that, all of the rest of the stuff will fall into place. It's going to anyway. So the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, put a little bit more work into what you want. So if you've just been feeling a little tired because you had to take a little hangman break and get some insight, I think they're saying now is the time to put the effort back in. And then we have the Ten of Wands in reverse because you're already beyond getting to the other side of something that was difficult. And now is the time to get geared back up. That's another thing about the Queen of Wands. It's having the confidence to take steps when the time is right, when you feel motivated to do so. Because if you don't feel motivated and your energy isn't there and you're in a time of needing reflection and or some kind of information before you take a step forward, then it's important to do so. So some milestone that you had to hit or some difficult lesson that you had to wrap up, it's over. Same thing here with the Ten of Swords in reverse. I feel like you've gotten to the end of it. And last card for that, High Priestess. There you go. And that's what helps you get really in tune, is understanding that you don't want to focus on what is or hasn't come in yet and continually waiting. It's about you trusting. And that's what intuition is. It's trusting that you're going to know exactly what to do and when to do it and who you're going to let into your life and who you won't, based on those things that you've already learned and how in tune you are moving forward. All right, so I'm going to get a couple of cards from the Lover's Oracle, which can be, whoa, that one danced right out. It can be for love or just an in general message. Balance. Love is not always about agreeing just for the sake of it. A great relationship is one that both supports and challenges. Always. And that can be hard because we want things to be peaceful. But no doubt, having someone who challenges you in a good way is important as well. All right. So we have friendship. Nurture the bonds of friendship within your relationship and your love life will dramatically improve. For those of you that may have just had a bump and you are still with somebody, it is important, of course, to always go back to the core of the relationship, which cannot exist without some type of friendship. Freedom, there's nothing stopping you. The path is clear if you want it to be. So this is it. They're basically giving you the big green light, the big go sign. It's time. It's time for you to take those steps forward and really step out of your comfort zone. Life is a series of constantly shifting cycles. When we resist change, we resist the natural flow of life and create unnecessary stress. Go with the flow. You will be surprised where it leads. Very much like I was talking about with the Three of Wands, it's more staying in the moment and the flow, which is not easy. It takes practice to get there. And I think everybody has good days and bad days. So you may find yourself getting better and better at kind of going with the flow and trusting that what needed to be cleared in this last cycle is healthy, because it's going to take you to a new cycle. It's going to create a lot of joy with that 10 of Cups that we saw. All right, so let's get a couple of cards from the Wisdom of the Oracle to close this out. This is for Leo. I just saw 222 on the clock. That's usually just a sign that we're in line with things. All right, so clean it up. This is a time. You could be born on the 21st, the 2nd, the 1st, or the 3rd. That just means cleaning up things around you, maybe even some of the old thought processes that need to be wiped away so that it doesn't cloud your vision moving forward. Unfinished symphony, so this is a good sign because that's a 10, the endings. We had 2 10s here. Well, actually, we had 3, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, because we had the 10 of Wands, the 10 of Swords, both in reverse, but the 10 of Cups in the upright. So you are wrapping up a cycle of things that just needed to be wrapped up. So it may have felt like it was unfinished, but Spirit's giving you the, nope, this is done, and it's time for something new. And then we have this is my go with the flow. To the sea, it's a 7, so you could be born on the 7th or the 10th or the 1st. And then we have Never Ending Story. Again, a 10. So you've had a combination of 5 different 10s telling you that whatever this is that's been an ongoing process, it is now coming to an end. Because you know you can't continue on this same path or things continue to repeat, which I don't think they're going to, period. I just think no matter what, we're forced into new situations because that's the next step. I don't think people stay stuck their entire lives. I think it's impossible to do so. And I don't think you can do anything more than learn how to trust your intuition and trust that things are going to move in a new direction. I think there's a lot of positivity and a lot more enthusiasm is the word I want to use that you may have coming up in the next couple of weeks. All right, my loves, those were your messages. Thank you so much for being here. Again, if you would like a personal reading, the information's in the description box below or the About section of my channel. And I just want to say I love you and thank you for being here. So take good care, and I will see you in the next one.